Thank you, everyone, for staying with us on the program this morning. I'm joined by two gentlemen to help us find sense in the conversations in front of us on TMI this morning. From my immediate left is Barrister Matthias Obayiwana, legal practitioner. Thank you for coming on TMI.
Thank you, E. And good morning, viewers.
We appreciate it. And next to him is Bishop Austin Igbasan, public affairs commentator. Thank you, Bishop, for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers.
On the program. Let me begin with you, Barrister Obayiwana. The NSAS issue was something you were very passionate about last year, especially from the perspective of the issues that led to that protest in the first instance. As it stands today, the report has been turned in by the panel. That panel, we must state, was made up of very eminent people, all right, including the chairman of the panel herself. That panel again was set up by the Lagos state government, and now we understand that that report has become a subject of controversies in a manner of speaking. The federal government has responded, or if you like, reacted to some of the issues raised by the panel on account of that report. Some persons have said all the federal government has succeeded in doing is to rubbish that report. In fact, the Minister of Culture, Lai Mohammed, and Information has called it Tales by Moonlight. For instance, are we jumping the gun? Because one would have thought we ideally should wait for the Lagos state government to come up with a white paper that they talked about earlier.
Exactly. It's most unfortunate that we have somebody in the caliber of a minister of information who ought to know that it's not the call of the federal government to begin to make comments on the report of a panel that was set up by the Lagos state government. That report had been sent to the government. Commissioner for Information of that arm of government, Lagos state government, has not responded. The governor himself has not responded. They are looking at it. A white paper is yet to be issued on it. Right. You are jumping the gun. So if you felt that it was necessary for you to set up the panel, then you could have done so yourself. From the federal government angle, you could have set the panel up, and then when you now present the report before you begin to, even when they present the report before him, until the president speaks on it. Until the government, the Executive Council meets on that report, it is not the call of the Commissioner for Information or Minister for Information, as the case has become now, to begin to make comments on it, in order to deride the report of the panel and begin to attack the entire process that went through. Because
as it stands right now, will it be out of place to say Honorable Minister Lai Mohammed has spoken on behalf of the federal government?
Well, more often than not, they keep saying that they are speaking for the presidency. The president himself is slow to come forward to speak to Nigerians on any raging issue. So anybody can always speak for the presidency. Somebody will speak, AG Federation will speak, Minister of Information will speak. So as far as I'm concerned, they are all speaking for the presidency. Whereas we have a president who has refused to speak to us. So whatever he has said, it could be taken that he's speaking for the presidency. Unless the president himself come to clear the air to say, look, yes, he has said X, Y, Z. Maybe I didn't say him to say that. Because he's jumping the gun. And there's no jumping the gun that can stop this process. It's an idea whose time has come. When you have done a wrong, you acknowledge that wrong, and then there will be palliatives, or people to cushion the effect of that, of whatever has happened. That would be justice. Because I've often made the point severally that justice is not the mere absence of tension. Or rather, peace is not the mere absence of tension, but the presence of social justice. So what they have just done by on that panel, they are geared towards giving Nigerians social justice. You have looked at the issues, you have looked at those who have been injured, you have taken evidence, and the report. That's the beauty of that panel that's made of this eminent personality. They knew that this kind of thing can happen, because we are in a country where elephant can fly, with all due respect. Anything can happen. So they knew that this kind of thing was going to happen, according to the SAN who is in their midst. They said, yes, that they have a certified true copy of the entire proceedings of that panel. They have. So they certified all the proceedings and they kept, and they forwarded the original copy to the Lagos state government, waiting for it to issue a white paper. So if anybody is saying it's a rehearse of fake news, in your own subjective mind, you branded it fake news. People have a report. Those people have oral evidence, physical, direct evidence of what has happened. You say it is fake news. You were not there. So Nigerians should not believe what came out from your mouth, your subjective sense, to say it is fake news. Then everything that has happened there is fake news. All the evidence given in the panel is fake news. The evidence given on oath. Parties were cross-examined. Facts were elicited. You say they are fake news. So they have records. So they knew what will happen. So they have records of all of these things, and they are keeping them. So Lagos government has the call, and I'm sure it will do the needful to ensure that a paper is issued on that, and then we take it from there. To be jumping the goal now to say no, this is fake news, this is fake news, because why did you expose to Nigerians? If they had not exposed this thing to Nigerians, this same issue that has happened now, they would have buried it, and I'm sure Nigerians would have believed when the man speaks and say, oh, this is fake news, this is areas of the fake news that have been going, making it round. I'm sure some Nigerians and the national community will have reason to believe. But because the report has already come out publicly, we are all seeing it. And the certified copy, they are with them. And when Lagos government is also looking at the report right now, I'm sure they are thinking about what do we do. They are making their consultations. They should go ahead and issue a power on it, and then let's take it from there. Whether the commission will be paid by the Lagos state government or by the federal government is another issue entirely. But first of all, tell ourselves the truth. Okay. This is what happened going forward, and this is what we should do to make a better Nigeria.
Before I come to Bishop, let me ask you this as a follow-up to the first question. The fact that the Minister of Information has come up to speak, quote unquote, on behalf of the federal government as it stands right now, some persons would vehemently argue it's a preemptive action.
Yes.
And then I'm wondering, to what extent does that influence whatever decision the Lagos state government will come up with ultimately?
Well, the body language is there. We have rejected this thing. Please reject it also. Okay. So it will be unfortunate if Lagos government would not follow the body language of the Minister of Information, speak for the presidency, to say we are also rejecting it. So you set up a panel of eminent personality. You selected them, and I'm also aware that some of them have been harassed now. Those who testified and those who were vociferous and who has put the report together.
I think Borough himself alleged threats to life already.
You know, so they have been harassed and all of that. Yes, it is always the case. Because when you are in a battle of this nature, you are going to have casualties. Because when you are out to actually unearth the truth that the people are struggling to bury, you have casualties. So, and I'm sure as a comrade, as an activist, he understands. It's only telling Nigerians, because when you don't expose a dictator, someone who's trying to be very oppressive, someone who's very destructive, when you don't expose that person, that harm could be done. As he has said so now, if I die, know that these are the people who want to kill me. I'm sure they will all hold their horses and allow him live. So he has exposed them that his life is under threat for doing what is right. He had done that. The Minister of Blessed Memory said, stand for what is right, even if you stand alone. So they have stood for what is right, whether or not they stand alone in the midst of this crisis in the entire Nigeria. And I believe they're not standing alone. I am standing with them, and I'm sure many Nigerians too are standing with them to ensure that the truth should always prevail in this country. So I expect the Lagos government to do the needful and be objective enough and stop being swayed by the body language of the presidency by saying reject it, hook, line, and sinker. If they do so, it will be a self-indictment on them. Maybe they thought that these are people they can use as rubber stamp, but unfortunately, they are men of steel whose consciences can neither be bought nor sold. Great.
So I want to turn to you, Bishop, quickly, right? I don't want to drag us into the conversation around the amount of economic investment that had been made as far as this panel, in particular the Lagos panel, is concerned. Of course, we understand other states had also set up panels, including Edo, for example. But that of the Lagos states in particular, of course, obviously because of the fact that that was the hub for the protest itself. I mean, the state has become sort of a shining star amongst other lights, so to speak, right? I'm curious at this point, because many persons, many groups are obviously interested in these SARS reports. The US, the UK, the EU, Amnesty International, civil society groups across the world, and so on and so forth. Is the government listening to these pulses at all from what we are seeing today?
With what we are seeing, definitely from the way the Minister of Communication and Information has attacked the report, we must understand this government, that the government we have today is a government that they are tactical in their fight. You always hear presidency, and you will not see the president coming to deny the presidency. This is the first time we're having it in the history of this country where the presidency is different from the president. And I think while they were campaigning, there was no campaign for presidency. I think the campaign was for a president.
Right.
But we are having it now that you now have presidency out of the president, and that has been their tactical way of keeping Nigeria under their slavery, making it in another climb. You from that day that Minister of Communication has spoken, you expect the president that was elected by the people to have come out to either say, I did not say this, I did not send Mr. F this, but that has been their style. That at the end of the day, they felt that when they have done that, they will divert the attention of Nigerians from this one. And when you look at the setting up of that, the Lagos State Governor himself knew that the heat of that protest was on him.
Right.
And you know that one of the days he appeared before the people, they almost lynched him. So he knew that he is in the eye of the storm. So even though if the design was to set up this panel across and we let it go the way other panel used to go, but as far as Lagos is concerned, it is difficult to be able to sway it. If you look at many other states, like our state here, how many days did they sat down? And other states like that. But you can't compare that to Lagos, because Lagos is just like the battlefield. And also putting in mind the issue of the shooting that we're talking about does not happen elsewhere. So it happened in Lagos. So the report of Lagos is the leading report that the whole world is interested in. But for the Secretary of State in US to come and have a meeting and specifically mention to the president that they are interested in what is coming behind. And you see our minister after that meeting coming up to come and counter what is coming to them. By government procedure, they are to wait. In my place, they said the person they are bringing wife to come and give does not stretch his neck. When you hear people are beating, they say, well, he's stretching his neck. The guy in question, who is the celebrant, must not be stretching his neck, because the wife eventually is coming to come and stay with you. Right. So there is no need for you to start to giraffe to see if he's fine or is the neck is long or the mouth is like this. You don't need to do that, because the wife is eventually coming to you. So in a sane society, where they know that these same people knew that they needed United States of America for equipment and for logistics and training and the rest of them, and at the same time the Minister of Communication, don't forget, you can't rule what the Minister of Communication has said. That is the mindset of the president. You cannot rule. If somebody is talking for me now, I'm a bishop of a church, if my deacon decide to tell people that when you are coming tomorrow, bring coconut to the church, and I know that coconut is not part of our rules of engagement of our own ministry, I will come out and say that I'm not part of that one. That's not our belief. We don't operate like that.
You counter it.
I counter it. You know, if somebody said everybody coming to church must wear agbada, if you don't wear agbada, you can't enter our church, I will tell them, it's not a uniform church. You come with any cloth of your choice. I will speak, because I know that that is not part of our.
The box stops with you.
Yes. So for the president to be silent also means that these are things that they were sent. All these guys are attack dog. They sent them ahead to go and psych Nigeria and also preemptive and try us and see the reactions of people. Definitely with that report, you know that they were not expecting Lagos as an APC state to do something contrary to an APC controlled federal government. They were not expecting it.
So that brings in the political angle again.
Yes, but the issue has gone beyond party. Now, they want to, at the end of the day, they want to make sure that that report, somebody is bringing a report to me, I've not seen it. Thank God that Minister of Communication is also a lawyer, and he knew court process. He knew what is supposed to be done, that he does not have that right to determine a paperwork that has not been sent to them. He is not aware of the day-to-day activity. These are activities that both the lawyers and these jurists, all of them sat down, and eminent personnel, this is a day-to-day activity. And also, as we are talking, the Nigerian Army was invited, they never showed up. Now, these are issues that we have to look at. The Constitution, does it exempt the Nigerian Army from coming to appear before a panel and also clear their name and put some things before the panel? These are issues that we expected the federal government, before we talk of the conclusion of this, if you don't have something to hide, and the constitution controls the Nigerian army and control every arm of government. Now, if we are to appear, we didn't appear. We expected the federal government, who is also, even the president, who is the commander-in-chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces, to be able to take a step before now to make sure that the Nigerian army played their own role before this panel. In as much he was the one that gave the instruction that all these panels should be set up. And this panel is being set up at the epic center where we have the issue of controversy. I expected the federal government and the commander-in-chief to be able to pass an instruction to the Nigerian army to make sure that in this panel, to show my sincerity that I have nothing to hide, and I want the whole world to know that the truth and nothing but the truth, and to be able to correct the anomalies, everything that has happened. As a father of the nation, he ought to, not now, because Nigerian army is not a heavenly army, it's Nigerian army under the constitution of Nigeria that must obey the instruction and what the ethics and everything that is connected to the law of the land. They are not just an organization set up outside the law. That's why our soldiers cannot just go to Sudan now without any invitation or going through a paperwork that they are invited, or jump down there and say, I'm a soldier in Nigeria, I'm also a soldier here.
There's a standard procedure.
Yes. So somebody cannot wake up and say, I'm going to Cameroon, I'm going to tell them a Nigerian army and I want to start operating there without an order from the defense headquarters. So why has the president been silent in the attitude of the army in not honoring that same particular panel that the president said gave instruction? What has happened to others who are supposed to appear? What has been done within the army setup to those who ought to be in this panel and they refuse to come? What was their reason? Do they believe in this panel? Did the people that set the panel up from the up, do they also have waiting for something that will give us the way out of our wood coming from this? If they really have it in mind, I think the authority of the army will have been an instruction must have been given for all of them to make sure they are there and they participate in this particular panel till the end before the paper will come out. Now the same people who did not give instruction to the army to make themselves present there and also participate throughout are already giving the result. That tells you the mindset of setting the panel was not meant to correct any anomaly or to look at what has really happened. If there was shooting, if there was death, they have already made up their mind. That is our style. And when you look at this government, you see that anything that comes from any panel of inquiry end up in the library without being touched. I can mention to you 2014 confab report that will have shut us up into another line like this same government put it in the cooler and they say it's not useful. Now, you now look at the people, the brain work, the time, the resources, some persons. Do you know in the course of doing this, a lot of hazard has happened to people who even appeared there.
Right.
Now, these people are doing something to make sure that for the first time we correct this and be able to move ahead. And if anybody is indicted, let the person, for somebody like the Secretary of State of America to be saying something about SARS report, mouth to mouth to the president.
On the soil of Nigeria.
On the soil, not saying it from their country. And the man said it to any sitting president of any country. That one supposed to be a sign that they are not doing rehearsal. And if eventually we want to fight our war, and the lay law and the rest of the other thing, because when they were asking the man talks about that we don't preempt, but whatever come out, we are interested. That was the language he used for Mr. President. We are interested in the report and the outcome of the SARS report. I think to any sitting African president who knew that no matter how powerful you are, you always need the help of this person. Because don't forget that African president, they have decided to be a feeding bottle, that they will never do anything. They want to suck the breast of the Western world till when it is dry. So when we don't have a president that want to sit down their own and say, how do I work on my people and make sure my own nation is independent? We will not be a feeding bottle nation. Such a leader will be the one that will just take his eye off such vital information or instruction or counsel saying we are interested in this. And for them to say they're interested, don't forget also that all this country, they also have facts about what happened that day. Many of them have their drone, that whatever we say here, it is just going to be like they look at us. Are these people human beings? Do they value life? Do they value their citizen? for a sitting minister of communication to be countering what a sitting governor. A governor in the United States of America is more or less a commander-in-chief of his own territory.
Right.
He has his own law, has his own judges, and all the rest of them. So, for a sitting governor of anybody that's a governor of Lagos, it's almost a president in the making, because this is where all the bulk, all what we're talking about that we're sitting on in Nigeria today, comes from there. It's the economic hub of the whole Africa. So, for a man sitting to administer there, even though if the man is a dwarf, we must give him the benefit of that. For the man to come out to do that, I believe very strongly that what Governor Sanwo-Olu did at that time was not under the influence of any center control government, because he knew that what those guys want to do to him in the masses is not president that is sitting in their front.
Right.
So before the president will come and bail you out of the situation you are, you will have died. So, and the man was ready to really dance to cushion the effect, to let the people know all these things that were destroyed. How much has the federal government given to Lagos State to be able to ameliorate the people, that business which were torn down and everything, that people have gone back. Some people just came from that attack of that xenophobia something, and this one came again while they are bouncing back. How many of them have the federal government alleviate their pain and have been able to help them bounce back? Many of them have blood pressure, some of them have stroke, they have died, and the rest of them. Now, what have the government done on their own? Now, this one happened again. I believe that the government of Lagos State is sincere. Even though there are pressure on him, the issue has gone beyond pressure, because it is beyond even we that are here in Nigeria. Other nations are interested that however we decide this one to go, we determine the help or assistance that will be given in charge of security and all the rest. No, I also believe that for somebody to have something like a super Tucano and it's still inside cooler, we can know the mindset of. It's like you put lion in your house and you are going to a night party. So if other nations have 2 super Tucano or 3, and they are celebrating the testimony over their enemy, but we have gotten here about 12, and we are today clapping hands, and they are inside the government museum. So we can know the mindset of people who carry this kind of equipment that is a game changer. And we kept it until we come back tomorrow and say the terminal head is not working, the battery is not working, the Kickstarter is this thing. And so you now know what the people that brought it, do they really have the mindset of winning the battle?
I'm going to get back to you in a bit, but let me talk to you, Barrister Bayiwana, here quickly about the pressure that is on Governor Sanwo-Olu as it stands right now, and of course the Lagos State government by extension. But more specifically, I want us to look at the issues that led to the NSAS protest in the first place. Because it will appear we are derailing, obviously, because we don't seem to be addressing those issues. After all, the Speaker of the House of Representatives said at the time, that was last year, that he would not sign off on any package. He was referring to budgetary allocation, for example, that did not include the welfare of the police and, by extension, law enforcement in this country. Some persons say, well, that could have been a political statement, for example. But have we seen sincerity between October 2020 last year, for example, October 28th last year, and today as to what the federal government or the state government in Lagos is doing to change the narrative in such a way that we would have moved ultimately from where we were that led to the NSAS protest in the first place and where we ought to be?
Well, the attitude of the police to Nigerians has been one characterized with combativeness.
Okay. Has that changed?
It has not changed. It has not changed. So that is the psyche, and that is the reorientation process that they need to pass through. And they keep talking about, oh, they are not well paid. That is why they are not well taken care of. If you go by an average police officer and you check the weight that they parade, they have at their disposal. If you go down, if you measure that by whatever money they're supposed to be earning, per month in their salary, you can say they cannot justify whatever it is that they have. So the money is not the issue.
Okay.
They know how they have been going about getting their money, both in a legal and illegal way, oppressing people. You arrest a suspect, you make money from him, you say bail is free, bail is truly not free. You go there, it's okay, they will make you some paper that they did not release you, collect money from you on bail. Before they consider that application for bail, before they go and give it to a guy at the top to sign and approve, you know you must have given money, but they will say, okay, sign here that you don't collect money for bail. All of those things are still going on. you know, money have been voted to the police for to buy ammunition, to buy equipment and all of that, yet we don't know what has happened to them. So if they want to really sanitize the police structure, is to look at from the head down. If they are giving money out, how much was voted, how much was released. If it was indeed released, what was done with those items. So there should be a probe, internal probe. It is not a matter of they are not voting enough money today because they don't have enough money. Okay, go to where they are staying. Their police is it hosted? They call it now lodge.
The barracks.
Barracks, yeah. The place is so unkept. You know, nothing to them about small. They don't actually have good shoes to wear. They buy their uniform and the rest of it. It's appalling. Despite the fact that that is the case, as money not be voted for this to be done, they need to internal put to find out what happened to those money. Look at the case of is it Abbas Abakari, right?
Abakari, yes.
Look at so much money, the affluence, the man parades. How much does he earn? Talking about fighting corruption in this country, it's very easy to fight corruption. You see a man parading so much, you know, swimming in affluence. You should find out what are your earnings. How much do you really earn? Your legitimate earnings. Justify that by whatever is parading and see, just oppose it and see whether it means that the essence. If it does not, that man is corrupt. So we find all of it all over the place. You find police officers, properties, cars all over the place. Where they get the money from? So the issue is not poverty. That's the point I'm struggling to make here. It is not that they are poor because they have money in their pocket. That is why their mentality is wrong. No, they have that mentality of they don't see Nigerians as their friends. They just see them. They see Nigerians, you know, and they see an opportunity to make money. When they see somebody in crisis or they want to see they're investigating any crime, they see that as a chance for them to make money. Oh, this is my own money bag. Let me see how much money I can make from that. You see them chasing people up and down. You carry the man. What led to this crisis now, this SARS protest, mostly because of these Yahoo boys. You arrest them rather than prosecute that crime. Okay. And they actually jail them for something what is wrong, what they have done wrong, so that to serve as a deterrent to others. You arrest the young man, you take him to an ATM machine and have him withdraw money. You have them transfer. They even carry a POS machine all over the place to have them transfer money to you. You know, as far as they are concerned, these are our own courts. We know how much you have gotten from this white man, wherever you got the money from. Okay, fine. They check their phone, validate their privacy, see how much they have in their account, take them to go and get their own cut from them. So they were doing that. Those boys said, look, we are tired of all of these things. If so, you are actually fighting corruption, you arrest me, you are looking for how much you can get from me. So anytime, any day, they just hang them along the road, so that they're never carrying a marked vehicle or marked uniform, you know, on themselves. They just look out for these boys. Any person driving flashy car, carrying dreadlocks, whatever, they arrest them, say your laptop, collect money from them. Recently, there was a case at the Federal High Court, Benin, where, you know, the EFCC brought somebody who was suspected to have engaged in internet fraud, you know, and they brought them, and then they said they brought a plea bargain. And in the plea bargain, the court should just sign off that whatever it is that the young man has in the account should be forfeited to the federal government. You know, we made the point earlier that, of course, that the issue of money being forfeited to the federal government, and then the money is still the management coffers of the EFCC. Now the AGF was asking that it should be the one to be managing such money. We fought and said that was wrong. That will be done by the judiciary. Okay. For money to the federal government, the money should be brought as exhibit to the court, and the court will now forfeit it, and they will go and pay straight into the treasury account. And not for them to see the mail with the EFCC, which is domiciled with the CBN. Exactly, with CBN. So that was the position. The court said no, I will not sign off on this plea bargain that you have brought. This sum of money you are asking me to make an order for to the federal government. Where is the money?
As it stands right now.
As it stands now. He said it's their practice. The money is normally brought to court. So go and bring that money to the court as exhibit. The money will be entered as exhibit. Then I will look at the issues and decide whether or not to do the plea bargaining. In essence, plea bargaining, you have also made that point here, is not to agree on how much you will bring from your loot and how much you will leave behind. It's to talk about the length of time you may spend, the punishment that you may serve, because you honestly, you came up to own up to the crime, and then you save us time and expense in prosecuting that crime. Then that will determine the limit, or the length of time you will spend in prison. And not to say, okay, if you have 10 million, okay, plea bargaining, bring 5 million and keep 5 million. You'll be encouraging crime. So that was the essence, because bring the money to the court. First of all, let us deal with that first. And we on my own send the registrar of court to go and pay the money to the account and not to remain with the EFCC. And then we'll not talk about what happens to the length of time. You know, so the court refused it and allowed to go and bring them to the court. That is what Nigerians should be heading to. That the federal court being here. So we are expecting more of that. Let people be transparent enough. So the issue is not how much money they are being paid. That is why their mentality is like that. No, they see every Nigerian as just a money bag, as an opportunity to make money. At every opportunity, they are investigating crime.
Let me answer this quickly. A ranking police officer recently said, somewhere in Ogun State, I guess, that no policeman, this is a serving ranking police officer, saying that no policeman has the right to look at your phone, for example, without a duly approved warrant of court, for instance. But is that realistic, given our own environment?
Given your environment, why is it not realistic? If you arrest, you can arrest somebody in the course of committing a crime without a warrant.
Yes.
If that crime is being committed in your presence, you can arrest that person immediately and take for investigation. If that person is known to be arrested, you didn't meet him committing that crime, and then you go to report that somebody has committed a crime, you should get an arrest warrant.
Okay.
Then if you are also going to search his property or his phone in any way, you should also obtain a search warrant. These two must be there.
So if he drives a car of maybe 8 million and he's carrying spiky hair, for example, isn't that basis enough to want to check his phone?
It is not a basis. The man has privacy to his phone. You cannot compare him to open his phone and begin to search through his phone. It is wrong. They are aware. They have been going through training upon training. The administration of criminal justice law and act that have been passed in the federation and across the state. Yeah. They are aware the provisions are out there. You cannot do XYZ. When you even arrest a suspect, you cannot even obtain statement from that suspect without him having his lawyer by his side, or any person you are obligated to inform him of his rights under the law. That's why they often say that you are not expected to say anything. Anything you say could be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to remain silent. Yes, it's there in the book. They are aware. In the cautionary warning, when you are making statement, it is there, the first line. But is that always the case? No. They will arrest them. They will force them to make statement when their lawyers is not there. Even when they say SYs, they say no, they'll keep interrogating them until they want to extract from them that which they want them to put on paper. Okay. So they are aware of this, so their orientation need to change. They need to look at Nigerians as true Nigerians. And if you're investigating crime, investigate crime without the mindset of making money from it. So that is one. Once they have that change of orientation, the next issue is really taking care of their welfare. So if your guys at the top are the one eating the money, they should show them the way out. The idea of always covering, look at the MENA issue. But don't say federal government have covered up the issue for a long while. The man was in service, eating pensioners' money, making money himself and his son. They were lavishing pensioners' money. Pensioners were suffering and they were dying. And the money was there. Certain individual was eating it and buying property and buying cars all over the place. It was still in government. It was still in government. So why should such an institution be? So at the end, it's okay, government is not trying. There's no money to pay pensioner. Meanwhile, there's money to pay pensioner. The same way, you may be surprised that some Govt at the top are eating the money that they make for the welfare of the police. And because the federal government is not, has not the will to checkmate all of these things, because as far as we are concerned, the presidency is a control. So they are all in the presidency. You ask somebody, the man who was planting former secretary to the federal government.
Budgetary Allocation.
You know, that one did his own too. So and the question was, who is the presidency? So we are in the presidency, we are in the cabal. So they decided what happens. So when anybody does anything, the president is not there to say, look, enough of this. Okay. So they do it and they get away with it. That is why the police remains the way it is. It's not as if the National Assembly are not voting money. It's not as if the money is not being released to them. Actually, they keep going for their budget defense. So if you come for budget defense, the money will not be released to you. If the money is released to you, there should be a probe from the National Assembly and call the officers in charge. Why is this money like this? Why is it not going down? Why is the barracks still the way they are? Who did you award the contract to?
Accountability.
Honestly,
somebody has to be held accountable.
Exactly. So they should hold the officer at the top accountable, and they should also ensure that police officers have orientation. Many of them, with all due respect, we see them. You are pursuing a courtist. Many of them are members of one court group or the other. Many of them are also into the same Yahoo business. Every time a bastard dies, so they should look at the police system and give an orientation. Then they need to, for every state to have their own state police. You know, cannot be overemphasized. We need the state police so that the so-called chief executive officer of the state, like the governor of Lagos State now, should have full control and take full responsibility
over the state police.
Over the state police.
I'm afraid this is what we're going to leave it with this first discussion, everyone.